"Wake up, William," Billy's mom said quietly as she tried to wake him gently. It was Thanksgiving and Billy's mom was up early to start prepping the colossal amount of food she cooks each year. Billy tried to roll over and go back to sleep. He hoped she'd go away if he ignored her. "I need some help in the kitchen," she told him, deliberately not taking the hint. "Will you help in exchange for this?" Intrigued by what on earth she might have to offer that she thinks could get him out of bed to cook, Billy rolls back towards her and opens his eyes. They take a moment to focus before he's able to make out a gift all wrapped up. They don't usually exchange gifts on Thanksgiving, so Billy is rather bemused but sits up and takes the large present out of curiosity. He unwraps it to find a plain brown box. On opening the box, he finds some black clothing on top. Wondering why his mom might expect clothes would tempt him out of bed so early, he picks up the item of clothing that's on top. It's much longer than he expected, and Billy soon realizes it's not a normal piece of clothing for a boy. As he pulls it up higher, it's clear that it's a dress, some kind of black-made uniform with white trim. He looks displeasingly back at his mother as he places it back in the box a little less neatly than it came out. "Pass," he tells her as he lays back down in bed. "You left your laptop unlocked with some unexpected websites in clear view a few weeks back," she informs him. Adrenaline suddenly shoots through Billy and he's now wide awake. Was he really that careless? "I'd also made it clear that if your grades didn't improve, there would be consequences," his mom continues. "You can either wear this and we can tell people it's your punishment for bad grades, or if you refuse, I'll tell everyone that you want to dress as a girl. It's your choice." That didn't sound like a choice to Billy, it sounded like blackmail. Billy sat up in bed once again and took the dress back out of the box. Looking at it more intently this time, he couldn't help but secretly want to wear it. It was a very smart, professional-style black hotel-made dress, with a white Peter Pan collar and short sleeves with white trim around the edge. The skirt was A-line and looked to be below the knee. It was modest in both skirt length and neckline. Billy might have chosen something with a shorter skirt given the freedom, but now faced with the very real possibility of being seen in a dress, the long skirt was probably a good idea. As Billy gazed at the uniform, he knew he would truly love wearing it. "I don't know what you're thinking, but let's be clear, you don't actually have a choice in the matter," his mom told him as she stood towering over him. Billy looked up at his mother and gives her a very nervous nod as the adrenaline subsides, as he'd come to realize fighting was futile. Refusing to wear the dress would not only deprive him of what he desired but also result in his secret being exposed anyway. "That a girl," she said gleefully. Billy's mom directed his attention to the clothing that was previously hidden below the maid uniform, a simple matching black underwear set, black pantyhose and a shoebox containing black patent court kitten heels. "But first you need to get a shower and shave your body," she instructed him. "I'll get started in the kitchen and I'll be up soon after you're out of the shower. I expect to see you dressed." Billy did as instructed, and after showering/shaving, he starts getting dressed in attire similar to which he dreamed about wearing countless times before. First the knickers, a tight-fitting plain black pair with a lace motif edge and a matching black t-shirt bra. The bra was an A-cup with padding, small, basic but effective enough. It took him a long time to get it fastened, having never done one up before. Putting on tights was also a little odd, but they felt amazing against his smooth legs. Next came the dress, made from a crisp polyester/cotton material that gave a slight elegance to the formal attire. The dress was simple yet feminine. Billy pulled it over his head, flattened out the skirt and straightened the bodice. He then proceeded to attempt to pull the zip up the back. Almost fully dressed now, Billy was starting to get caught up in the moment, and almost forgot why he'd been given the opportunity to dress en femme in the first place. That was until the frustration of a behind-the-back zip and a tight-fitting bodice pulled him back to reality. "This is impossible," he huffed to himself under his breath. At that point there was a knock-knock at the door, and with that Billy's heart skipped a beat. However, before he could react, in walked his mom. All he could think was thank goodness it was his mom and not someone else, although everyone else would likely still be in bed a while longer. "Let me help you, dear," his mom offered as she walked over to zip up his dress. Billy's nerves had him fixed to the spot, unsure how his mom might react to seeing him dressed as a girl, a maid nonetheless, even if it was her idea. He felt the dress tighten around his body, and once fastened it felt very prim and proper. Billy's mom walked slowly round him, checking his outfit as she did. She smoothed out any imperfections in his skirt before handing him his kitten heels with an approving smile. Feeling a strange sense of calm, Billy took the shoes and one by one slid his feet in. Now, a half-inch taller, the look was complete and it felt incredible. However, one question dawned on him. "If I couldn't get the zip done up, can I undo it?" Smiling from ear to ear, his mom quietly proclaimed, "Perfect. Now let's get to work," as she began to walk off. Billy stretched and reached any way he could to try to grab the zip at the back, but to no avail. "Stop that," his mom said calmly, peering back over her shoulder. "You're not getting out of this even if you could take that dress off without my help." He suddenly felt very trapped, both in the dress and under his mom's blackmail threat. All he could do was hang his head and follow silently. Maybe working together, they could get everything done before anyone else in the house woke up. Downstairs in the kitchen, Billy felt much more exposed than in his room, and he was sure the sound of his heels on the hard flooring could be heard throughout the house. It was then that his mom handed him a pink, floral apron to give his outfit some color. It did provide some girly pop to his otherwise monochromatic uniform. Feeling rather feminine, he gradually started to relax over the following 10 to 20 minutes with the feeling of the skirt brushing against his legs as he walked about the kitchen just feeling right. His mom then showed him the basics of preparing food and he was fully engrossed in peeling and cutting vegetables when his sister, Sarah, came downstairs. At the bottom of the stairs, she would usually turn right to go watch TV, but the sight of an unfamiliar figure in the kitchen drew her attention. She managed to get close enough to see who it was before Billy even knew she was there. "Oh my God! Billy? Is that you?" Sarah called. Billy felt his heart race as adrenaline shot through his body once again, and he felt himself freeze in place. "He's being punished," their mom calmly interjected without missing a beat, "for his grades not improving." The discussion that followed passed as a bit of a blur for Billy as the two girls talked about him as if he wasn't even in the room. At the end of it, Sarah seemed to have been convinced it was genuinely a punishment. Why wouldn't she be? What else could be the reason? And she turned to leave the kitchen while Billy went back to cutting vegetables. She barely finished her second step before pausing to ponder. "Does he need my new school uniform then? You know, until Christmas?" she asked, still contemplating the logistics of Billy's so-called punishment. "What are you on about, Sarah?" their mom responded, clueless to Sarah's train of thought. "Well, if he's dressed as a girl because his grades were too low, and he's not going to have any better grades until our next report at Christmas. So won't he need a new school uniform?" Sarah replied, going through her thought process out loud. Billy abruptly stopped cutting the vegetables after hearing this and turned his head to try to read the expression on his mom's face. It was clear she didn't have an answer. She hadn't thought about that. In the midst of the silence, Sarah continued as she thought their mom hadn't understood. "I mean, if it's a one-off, and everything goes back to normal tomorrow, doesn't that mean his punishment is over?" "Well, yes, of course," their mom replied, unsure what to say next that wouldn't risk Sarah discovering the real reason Billy was in a dress, while also not realizing she'd, in principle, agreed that Billy would stay as a girl until his grades improved. In the moment that she paused, Sarah continued, "So if Billy's going to be dressed as a girl tomorrow too, he'll need a new school uniform." Their mom was still trying to catch up with Sarah's explanations. She'd planned out what she'd say to the family that was airtight, or so she thought, but this was a curveball she hadn't expected. In a flash, Sarah spun around to leave, once again gleefully announcing, "He can borrow my old clothes." Left behind in the kitchen, both Billy and his mom were astounded at what had just happened. "Please don't make me go to school as a girl tomorrow?" Billy pleaded with his mom. "It's either that or I fear your secret's about to be exposed," she told him. As she stared off towards where Sarah had been standing, she continued, "Besides, it would be nice if your grades did improve." She turned to Billy with a smile. "Lily." Sarah quickly returned with a pile of disorganized clothing consisting primarily of school shirts and skirts. Sarah had recently got a new set of school uniform, leaving her uniform from last year bundled up in the bottom of her closet. They all knew they would likely fit Billy, who had a similar slender build to Sarah except he was slightly shorter than his older sister. "They will all have to be ironed," their mom said, instinctively looking at the creased, crumpled up clothing. Sarah looks her brother up and down in his maid dress and says, "I think she's already dressed for that," emphasizing the she dot. Once the food was cooking and there was nothing left to do in the kitchen, Lily was made to get to work on ironing her new school skirts and feminine cut shirts. As she held a shirt up to look for creases, Lily's mom said, "Sorry, but I only got you black bras." It took Lily a few seconds staring at the white shirt to know why that might be a problem. The next week of school was quite torturous for Lily, but the ruse that it was a punishment held up. After a few days, Lily hit on something and she quickly struck a deal with her mom that if she must wear girls' clothes for far longer than justified by the initial punishment of low grades, then she should get to choose them. Feeling bad that she had gotten Lily stuck so deep into this mess, she agreed. Over the coming weeks, Lily went shopping with her mom and actively participated in picking her new wardrobe. She quickly moved away from black or white underwear to bright pinks. The bras she chose had noticeably bigger cups than the modest ones her mom had bought her at the start. The teasing at school soon became a minor trade-off as it gradually subsided. The next phase of Lily's plan was to ensure the punishment continued. She convinced her mom to secretly switch the criteria. Now, Lily would get to stay as Lily if her grades improved. She even got her mom to agree to allow her to wear stockings and garter belts instead of tights. This part of the plan also meant she needed to bring her teachers in on things. They were happy to give Lily poor grades in class while secretly providing Lily and her mom with the real ones on the sly, as they could already see the benefit being dressed as a girl was having on Billy's/Lily's grades and behavior. By the time Christmas was approaching, Lily had even started to work on developing the perfect feminine appearance through waist training, which was now drawing a different kind of attention from boys who'd become so used to Lily, they'd forgotten all about Billy.